All right, today is Tuesday, April 28th. So we are moving on to our next part of chapter 16. Today we are going to be focusing on drawing conclusions about the text using evidence to support our answers. So remember, drawing a conclusion is when you put together information to determine other facts. So, criteria for success: read and mark up the question, underline the clues in the text. So you're going to highlight them, whatever. Think about what you know, like think about what you already know, and then label and support your clues or the answer choices. So make sure those are underlined and labeled in the text. So we're going to start with chapter 16, part 2. We take the zebra to Vegas. If you remember from yesterday, we ended after Percy had kind of a weird dream where he had overheard a conversation between two people talking about him and kind of the quest that he's on, and it didn't sound so good. So that was a really eerie, like scary feeling in that dream. So that was the mood. So today, what we're going to be picking up at is where he wakes up from that dream, and then what happens next. Remember, the setting for where they actually are, not the dream, but where they actually are, is in the back of that truck with all the different zoo animals. And they're kind of finding out that those zoo animals aren't being treated very well. All right, let's get started. I woke with a start. Grover was shaking my shoulder. "The truck stopped," he said. "We think they're coming to check on the animals." "Hide!" Annabeth hissed. She had it easy. She put on her magic cap and disappeared. Grover and I had to dive behind the feed sacks and hope that we looked like turnips. The trailer doors creaked open. Sunlight and heat poured in. "Man," one of the truck drivers said, waving his hand in front of his ugly nose. "I wish I had hauled appliances." He climbed inside and poured some water from a jug into the animals' dishes. "You hot, big boy?" he asked the lion, then splashed the rest of the bucket right in the lion's face. The lion roared in indignation. "Yeah, yeah, yeah," the man said. Next to me, under the turnip sacks, Grover tensed. For a peace-loving herbivore, he looked downright murderous. The trucker threw the antelope and squashed-looking Happy Meal bag. He smirked at the zebra. "How you doing, Stripes? Least we'll be getting rid of you this stop. You like magic shows? You're gonna love this one. They're gonna saw you in half." The zebra's wild-eyed with fear looked straight at me. There was no sound, but as clear as day I heard it say, "Free me, Lord, please." I was too stunned to react. There was a loud knock, knock, knock on the door on the side of the trailer. The trucker inside with us yelled, "What do you want, Eddie?" A voice outside, it must have been Eddie's, shouted back, "Maurice!" "What'd you say? What are you banging for?" Knock, knock, knock. Outside, Eddie yelled, "What banging?" Our guy, Maurice, rolled his eyes and went back outside, cursing at Eddie and being an idiot. A second later, Annabeth appeared next to me. "She must have done the banging to get Maurice out of the trailer," she said. "This transport business can't be legal." "No kidding," Grover said. He paused, as if listening. "The lion said these guys are animal smugglers." "That's right," the zebra's voice said in my mind. "We've got to free them," Grover said. He and Annabeth looked at me, waiting for my lead. I'd heard the zebra talk, but not the lion. Why? Maybe it was another learning disability. I could only understand zebras. Then I thought, horses. What had Annabeth said about Poseidon creating horses? Was a zebra close enough to a horse? Was that why I could understand it? The zebra said, "Open my cage, Lord. Please, I'll be fine after that." Outside, Eddie and Maurice were still yelling at each other. But I knew they'd be coming inside to torment these animals again any minute. I grabbed Riptide and slashed the lock off the zebra's cage. The zebra burst out. It turned to me and bowed. "Thank you, Lord." Grover held up his hands and said something to the zebra in goat talk, like a blessing. Just as Maurice was poking his head back inside to check on the noise, the zebra leaped over him and into the street. There was yelling and screaming and cars honking. We rushed to the doors of the trailer in time to see the zebra galloping down a wide boulevard lined with hotels, casinos, and neon signs. We just released the zebra in Las Vegas. Maurice and Eddie ran after it, with a few policemen running after them, shouting, "Hey, you need a permit for that." "Now would be a good time to leave," Annabeth said. "The other animals first," Grover said. I cut the locks off with my sword. Grover raised his hand and spoke with the same goat blessing he'd used for the zebra. "Good luck," I told the animals. The antelope and the lion burst out of their cages and went off together in the streets. Some tourists screamed, most just backed off and took pictures, probably thinking it was some kind of stunt by one of the casinos. "Will the animals be okay?" I asked Grover. "I mean, the desert and all." "Don't worry," he said. "I placed a satyr sanctuary on them." Meaning they'll reach the wild safely," he said. "They'll find water, food, shade, whatever they need until they have a safe place to live." "Why can't you place a blessing like that on us?" I asked. "It only works on animals." "So it would only affect Percy," Annabeth reasoned. "Hey," I protested. "Kidding," she said. "Come on, let's get out of this filthy truck." Pause there. So, first thing I want to ask you is, how is Grover feeling about these animals, or how was he feeling about the animals being locked up, and why do you think he felt that way? Think about it. So, he feels this way, or he feels like kind of sad and frustrated that they're all locked up because it's not very humane. It's not a very nice thing to do. And the other two agree with that as well. But he really feels strongly about it because not only is he also part animal because he's a satyr, but he's also looking for Pan, who is the god of wild ones, and that is something that the satyrs like really look up to and agree with because they're also wild creatures. So he feels like a connection to them in a way that the other two don't quite feel. Now let's move up. We're going to ask ourselves a different question. We're going to practice doing it. So first question is, Percy can understand zebras because. So I read the question. Now I want to mark it up. So Percy understands zebras. So I'm looking for what is the reason that Percy can understand these zebras. Now, I'm going to read through my answers and then I'm going to go back to the text and highlight the area that I would look for my evidence in. So it says, as the son of Poseidon, he can understand all types of horses and zebras. I remember him talking about that, so I'm going to keep that one. Because he's dreaming. He's no longer dreaming, so this one can't be my answer. So I'm going to cross it out. The zebra is speaking English. I don't think so, but I'll leave it there. As the son of Zeus, he can read minds of all animals. He's not the son of Zeus, so I know that can't be my answer. So I'm going to go back and find this and see why is it that he can do it. So we're right up here. So it says there was no sound, but clear as day he could hear the zebra say, "Free me." So you can hear the zebra talking, but there's no sound. So the zebra's not actually speaking. So it's probably not that he's speaking English, but I'm going to keep looking. So then we get down here. And again, he's thinking about why he can hear it. He said, "I'd heard the zebra talk, but not the lion. Why? Maybe it was some other learning disability. I could only understand zebras." Then I thought, horses. And a zebra is like a horse. Let's keep going. What had Annabeth said about Poseidon creating horses? Was a zebra closer to a horse? Is that why I could understand it? So I'm going to use this evidence along with my background knowledge, what I already know. So I do know, if I remember from earlier in the story, that Poseidon created horses to help with the carriage. He and Athena created the carriage, and Poseidon made the horses out of the waves. And I also know that a zebra is like a horse. They're very, very similar. So I agree with this. So this is the evidence I'm going to use. And I agree. So he's not speaking English because he heard it in his head. If you remember that, Percy heard it in his head. So our answer has to be, as the son of Poseidon, he can understand all types of horses and zebras. So then I'm just going to unhighlight this so that you can see the answers again. There we go. So now I've gone through, I've read, I've underlined, I've thought about my background knowledge, and then I highlighted it down here. Now, part B, what evidence, so again, I'm going to mark up my question one more time. So I'm looking for my evidence that supports, and I'm looking for it, what supports my answer to part A. So what proves that he can understand animals? Is it Grover held up his hands and said something in zebra to the zebra and goat talk? So that's Grover talking. That has nothing to do with Percy, so that can't be my answer. I could only understand zebras. Then I thought, horses? What did Annabeth said about Poseidon creating horses? And that was part of my evidence down here that I underlined, so that could definitely be my evidence. Let's keep going and make sure, though. Grover said, the lion says these guys are animal smugglers. So that proves that Grover can talk to the lion. That doesn't prove that Percy can understand the horses and the zebras. Good luck, I told the animals. So just like you and I, we could say good luck to an animal, right? That doesn't prove that he can understand it. So here is our evidence to prove why he can understand the horses and the zebras. So today what you're going to be doing is you're going to do that afterwards for this question. So we're going to keep reading. Now they've freed the horses, or the zebra, the antelope, and the lion. So we're going to see what happens next. So here we go. We stumbled out into the desert afternoon. It was 110 degrees, easy, and we must have looked like deep-fried vagrants, but everybody was too interested in wild animals to pay much attention. We passed the Monte Carlo and the MGM. We passed pyramids, a pirate ship, and the Statue of Liberty, which was a small replica, but still made me homesick. I wasn't sure what we were looking for. Maybe just a place to get out of the heat for a few minutes, find a sandwich and a glass of lemonade, make a new plan for getting west. We must have taken a wrong turn because we found ourselves at a dead end, standing in front of the Lotus Hotel and Casino. The entrance was a huge neon flower, petals lighting up and blinking. No one was going in or out, but the glittering chrome doors were open, spilling out air conditioning that smelled like flowers. Lotus bloom, maybe. I'd never smelled one, so I wasn't sure. The doorman smiled at us. Hey, kids, you look tired. You want to come in and sit down? I'd learned to be suspicious the last week or so. I figured anybody might have been a monster or a god. You just couldn't tell. But this guy was normal. One look at him, and I could see. Besides, I was so relieved to hear somebody who sounded sympathetic that I nodded and said, we'd love to come inside. Inside, we took one look around, and Grover said, whoa. The whole lobby was a giant game room. And I'm not talking about cheesy old Pac-Man games and slot machines. There was an indoor water slide snaking around the glass elevator, which went straight up to at least 40 floors. There was a climbing wall on the side of one building and an indoor bungee jumping bridge. There were virtual reality suites with working laser guns and hundreds of video games, each one the size of a widescreen TV. Basically, you name it, this place had it. There were a few other kids playing, but not that many. No waiting for any games. There were waitresses and snack bars all around, serving every kind of food you can imagine. So pause. I want you to imagine this place. Is this someplace you would want to be? Yeah, I mean, this place sounds awesome. Like all these different games, food, all these fun activities, water slides, bungee jumping, like whatever you want, they had it. And then on top of that, it's air conditioning and it smells good. Two things that they didn't have when they were stuck in the back of that truck. So they are like in here and like they are very excited to be there. So let's see what happens next. Hey, a bellhop said. At least I guessed he was a bellhop. He wore a white and yellow Hawaiian shirt with lotus designs, shorts, and flip-flops. Welcome to the Lotus Casino. Here's your room key. I stammered. But... No, he said, laughing. The bill's taken care of. No extra charges, no tips. Just go up to the top floor. Room 4001. If you need anything like extra bubbles for the hot tub or skeet targets for the shooting range or whatever, just call the front desk. Here are your Lotus cash cards. They work in the restaurant and on all the games and rides. He handed us a green plastic credit card. I knew there must have been a mistake. Obviously, he thought we were some millionaire's kids. But I took the card and I said, how much is on here? His eyebrows knit together. What do you mean? I mean, when does it run out of cash? He laughed. Oh, you're making a joke. Hey, that's cool. Enjoy your stay. We took the elevator upstairs and checked out our room. It was a suite with 3 separate bedrooms and a bar stocked with candy, sodas, and chips. A hotline to room service, fluffy towels, and a waterbed with feather pillows, a big screen television, and a satellite and high speed internet. The balcony had its own hot tub, and sure enough, there was a skeet shooting machine and a shotgun, so you could launch clay pigeons right over the Las Vegas skyline and plug them with your gun. I didn't see how that could be legal, but I thought it was pretty cool. The view over the strip and the desert was amazing, though I doubted we'd ever have time to look at the view with a room like this. Oh, goodness, Annabeth said. This place is sweet, Grover said. Absolutely sweet. There were clothes in the closet, and they fit me. I frowned, thinking that this was a little strange. I threw Harry's backpack in the trash can. Wouldn't need that anymore. When we left, I could just charge a new one to the hotel store. I took a shower, which felt awesome after weeks of grimy travel. I changed my clothes, ate a bag of chips, drank 3 Cokes, and came out feeling better than I had in a long time. In the back of my mind, some small problem kept nagging me. I'd had a dream or something. I needed to talk to my friends. But I was sure it could wait. I came out of the bedroom and found that Annabeth and Grover had showered and changed clothes. Grover was eating potato chips to his heart's content, while Annabeth cranked up the National Geographic channel. All of those stations, I told her. And you turn on National Geographic. Are you insane? It's interesting. I feel good, Grover said. I love this place. Without even realizing it, the wings sprouted out of his shoes and lifted him a foot off the ground, then back down again. So, what now? Annabeth asked. Sleep? Grover and I looked at each other and grinned. We both held up our green plastic Lotus cash cards. Playtime, I said. Pause there. So I want you to think about all these things. They get to the hotel. They don't have to pay for anything. They have a room for them. It has all these amazing things, all these amazing games, food, clothes their size, all these showers, everything that they could possibly want. This seems suspicious to me. Does it seem suspicious to you? What do you think's going on here? I want you to be making a prediction while we're reading. So I'm just going to let you think about it. Like, what do you think's going to happen next? Do you think this place is real, or do you think this is too good to be true? Do you think someone's setting them up? Like, what do you think's happening? Or do you think they just got lucky and this is actually some millionaire, they mistake them for some millionaire people? All right, let's see. I couldn't remember the last time I had so much fun. I came from a relatively poor family. Our idea of a splurge was eating out of a Burger King and renting a video. A 5-star Vegas hotel? Forget it. Oh, pause. Sorry, one more thing I wanted to say. He hasn't told them about his dream yet. So if you remember, his dream from the last chapter was what he overheard, that conversation between those two people that were like maybe not so good. So keep that in mind too. Sorry, let's keep going. I bungee jumped the lobby 5 or 6 times, did the water slides, snowboarded the artificial ski slope, and played virtual reality laser tag and FBI sharpshooter. I saw Grover a few times, going from game to game. He really liked the reverse hunting thing, where the deer go out and shoot the rednecks. I saw Annabeth playing trivia games and other Brainiac stuff. They had this huge 3D sim game where you built your own city, and you could actually see the holographic buildings rise on the display board. I didn't think much of it, but Annabeth loved it. I'm not sure when I first realized something was wrong. Probably it was when I noticed this guy standing next to me at the VR sharpshooters. He was about 13, I guess, but his clothes were weird. I thought he was some Elvis impersonator's son. He wore bell-bottom jeans and a red t-shirt and with black piping, and his hair was permed and gelled like a New Jersey girl's on homecoming night. We played a game of sharpshooters together, and he said, "Groovy, man. Been here 2 weeks, and the games just keep getting better and better." Groovy. Later, while we were talking, I said something was sick, and he looked kind of startled, as if he'd never heard the word used that way before. He said his name was Darren, but as soon as I started asking him questions, he got bored with me, and he started to go back to the computer screen. I said, "Hey, Darren." "What?" What year is it? He frowned at me. In the game? No, in real life. He had to think about it. 1977. No, I said, getting a little scared. Really? Hey man, bad vibes. I got a game happening. And after that, he totally ignored me. I started talking to people, and I found it wasn't easy. They were glued to the TV screen, or the video game, or their food, or whatever. I found a guy who told me it was 1985. Another guy told me it was 1993. They all claimed they hadn't been here very long. A few days, a few weeks at most. They didn't really know, and they didn't care. That seems weird. Then it occurred to me, how long had I been here? It seemed like only a couple of hours, but was it? I tried to remember why we were here. We were going to Los Angeles. We were supposed to find the entrance to the underworld. My mother. For a scary second, I had trouble remembering her name. Sally. Sally Jackson. I had to find her. I had to stop Hades from causing World War III. Found Annabeth still building her city. Come on, I told her. We've got to get out of here. No response. I shook her. Annabeth! She looked up, annoyed. What? We need to leave. Leave? What are you talking about? I've just got the towers. This place is a trap. She didn't respond until I shook her again. What? Listen, the underworld, our quest. Oh, come on, Percy, just a few more minutes. Annabeth, there are people here from 1977, kids who have never aged. You check in, you stay forever. So? She asked. Can you imagine a better place? I grabbed her wrist and yanked her away from the game. Hey! She screamed and hit me. But nobody else even bothered looking at us. They were too busy. I made her look directly in my eyes. I said, spiders. Large, hairy spiders. That jarred her. Her vision cleared. Oh my gods, she said. How long have we? I don't know, but we've got to find Grover. We went searching and found him still playing virtual deer hunter. Grover, we both shouted. He said, die, human, die, silly, polluting, nasty person. Grover. He turned the plastic gun on me and started clicking, as if it were just another image on the screen. I looked at Annabeth. Together, we took Grover by the arms and dragged him away. His flying shoes sprang to life and started tugging his legs in the other direction. As he shouted, no, I just got to a new level. No. The Lotus Bellhop hurried up to us. Well, now, are you ready for your platinum cards? We're leaving, I told him. Such a shame, he said, and I got the feeling that he really meant it, and we'd be breaking his heart if we went. We just added an entire new floor of games for platinum card members. He held out the cards and I wanted one. I knew if I took one, I'd never leave. I'd stay here, happy, forever, playing games forever, and soon I'd forget my mom and my quest and maybe even my own name. I'd be playing virtual Rifleman and Groovy Disco Darren forever. Grover reached for the card, but Annabeth yanked back his arm and said, no thanks. We walked toward the door, and as we did, the smell of the food and the sounds of the games seemed to get more and more inviting. I thought about our room upstairs. We could just stay the night, sleep in a real bed for once. Then we burst through the doors of the Lotus Casino and ran down the sidewalk. It felt like afternoon, about the same time as day we'd gone into the casino. But something was wrong. The weather had completely changed. It was stormy, and the heat lightning flashing out in the desert. Erie's backpack was slung over my shoulder, which was odd because I was sure I'd thrown it in the trash can in room 4001. But at that moment, I had other problems to worry about. I ran to the nearest newspaper stand and read the year first. Thank the gods. It was the same year it had been when we went in. Then I noticed the date, June 20th. We had been in the Lotus Casino for 5 days. We had only 1 day left until the summer solstice. 1 day to complete our quest. All right, so for your questions today, you are going to be drawing conclusions. It says, what conclusion can you make about why the 3 of them need to leave the Lotus Hotel? So you're going to find your answer. Or first, you're going to mark up your question. Then you're going to underline the clues in the text and think about what you already know. And then you're going to choose your answers. Okay? Awesome job today. Tomorrow we'll read chapter 17. Bye.